generation, how are you personally paying it forward, right? I think everyone, well, it's 24 hours in a day, right? And there's mountains to climb in any organization, and any workload balance is tough. But and then you've got life as well. But in terms of paying it forward, are there areas where you're investing your time or consciously investing your efforts to develop or mentor, impact the next generation?
Yeah, so I'm really big on personal and professional development, and it's something that we really champion in the team.
Mm.
Um, Really proud that last year we were able to participate in the very first data protection and information governance apprenticeship. So the
Amazing.
UK brought out this new apprenticeship, and we brought in 2 privacy apprentices. And the main requirement is you've got zero experience in this, but you want to find a fit. You want to explore a career in data protection.
Hmm.
And we welcomed 2 guys. They're absolutely brilliant. One was working, in distribution in a warehouse, and fantastic background, but just hadn't found that first job. The other guy was working in a call center, so I had a little bit of experience with customer experience, but neither of them they'd heard about it, but kind of saw this role and thought they'd get stuck in, and it's been fantastic. We've had
Mm.
such positive experience with it. These earn and learn schemes that are around, like with the UK apprenticeship program, I think it's really fantastic. I think everyone should be grabbing these opportunities. It's totally disrupting the university path. And it's not to
Mm.
say the university path isn't still extremely credible, and I think gives you probably more maybe doors, but not necessarily one field or specialism. Whereas this
Hmm.
apprenticeship scheme, these guys are being trained up in data protection in a huge organization. But not only that, they're core members of the team. They bring new ideas as well. Every quarter we get together as the full team, face-to-face strategy session, kind of share updates. We always have a slot for the apprentices to share their updates, really help them, strengthen their presentation skills. And
Mm.
did one on Chat GPT a couple of months back, and one started it with, tell me a joke, what prompt they put in, tell me a joke about data protection, no, or the
Hmm.
short one, showing how it all works. And then the next time they came through and they talked about a project that they'd worked on, and what they got from it. And I think, when that's put back to the team, everyone in the team as well is just feels such an amount of immense pride. And
Mm.
you're watching people grow, you're watching them, get confidence in the field, really show how they're contributing, and everyone's kind of championing them to, be a success, to be fantastic. So that's probably where my main time has been involved, and we're definitely looking to continue through that and bring in the next cohort, just because it's been such a good process for us.
Mm.
But then I guess with another hat on, I think now I've finished my extra studies, I'm going to have some more time, but I haven't had a
Yeah.
chance to really explore it in my very limited time outside of work. But there is such an important part about the next generation, and changing behaviors from a very young level. I was having a really interesting conversation with a psychologist the other day who has
Hmm.
explored cyber psychology. And she was talking about how, at the end of the day, every human's sense of security is established as a child. And you learn that from your parents, right? Because it's no, don't cross the road here, wait for me, hold my hand, look left, look right. You start learning all the risks around you in the physical world. And
Mm.
actually, what I currently see is a gap in online safety and security.
Mm.
Because, I
Absolutely.
mean, as we get older, right, you start getting a little bit more technophobic, right? There's definitely a turning point. I know that there are apps that I won't download because I don't want to be going into that TikTok hole, but I know that every younger person, that's where it's at, right?
Yeah.
And we become a bit technophobic, so we're not equipping parents to be able to have those conversations with children about online
Mm.
safety. And there's I think an opportunity to really get into schools, be talking to them about digital footprints, be really building that sense of security,
Mm.
and risk management from a young age, because it's natural for them. We just need to explain how it works online. And I think there's a thing about upskilling parents so that they feel that they can, confident enough to have an informed conversation about it.
Mm. It's interesting you say that. So my son is a digital leader in his junior school. He's only 8. So
Amazing.
he leads the Lego robotics section,
Right.
right?
Awesome.
But there was an open day for parents to go in, and there was about 5 parents that turned up for this really poor turnout, right? But one of the areas was age restrictions on apps.
Yeah.
I didn't have a clue. I did not have a clue.
Right.
And even that, do you know what I mean? And it's understanding why there's an age restriction on there, right? And understanding the I suppose translating the technology into the human risk.
Yeah.
What can you share? What information should you share? What information shouldn't you share, right?
Yeah.
And it's really important, So there's appetite for it, but you're right. I think the attrition on that session, as an example, in the small school in South Wales here, not many parents turned up because they couldn't
Yeah.
have affinity to the subject. That's
And
always
and
where it comes down to.
and what I think is really interesting as I look across the kind of, my friends and family, or the generation of parents now, right? And there's this term of sharenting, right?
Yeah.
Where they share everything. Look, they just burped, they just did this, first thing first, that lovely, and it's really nice because social media allows you to connect with people, but there is a real spectrum from the sharenting through to the don't post photos of my kids online, right? Because there is
Mm,
a community of parents that are taking it really seriously. And even in my family, we've got, social media rules of kids on social media. You can send it on WhatsApp, you can't do this, because the parents have turned around and said, I want them to be able to make their own decision about their own digital footprints, and they can do
mm,
that when they're 12, 13, or whatever age seems okay for them.
mm,
And I think that's a really important message, actually. I think it is, as I go back to the point, it's lovely to connect with friends, with family on social media and share the journey of your children. But at the same time, you're building up this digital footprint. And
mm.
whilst, that is that might be all right as a parent, but just think about how that might, impact them when they're older,
Yeah.
their
No, I
entire
agree.
life. Um, you know, Eventually kids do have control. I don't know if you've ever seen that Black Mirror episode. It
I,
really hit me hard when there was like, in the future, and they were like, oh yeah, all of our ancestors up in the cloud, because we just all upload photos left, right and center. And, you just start losing control of it unless you really think about it and think about how you manage these things in your personal life.
no, I agree. I agree. Again, it's nurturing that behavior from a young age, right?
Yeah.
Because the digital world is now, and the future is pretty scary. So it's enabling parents to understand what that potentially may look like for their children.
Yeah.
It's spot on.